I call the March 22nd, 2021 work session meeting to order.
Haig. Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay, now for the council discussion. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. Tonight we have the annual update from the Community Development Department. Rita Jackson.
Good evening, Council. Tonight, we will give you an update of the Community Development Department. We'll kind of go back and look at some of the activities that we had in the past fiscal year and bring you up to date as to the activities what we will currently are doing this fiscal year. The Community Development Department comprises of what we will hear tonight about the building codes, code enforcement, the Mexico Animal Shelter, and building and ground maintenance. Some of the programs that are found in that department are the demolition program, the sidewalk replacement, the backflow valve, and the household hazardous waste facility. And we'll look at two of our boards, the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Zoning Board of Adjustment. We'll start with the building permits. Last fiscal year, we issued 750 residential building permits, and that's basically your electrical, your plumbing, your fences, mechanical, accessory buildings, roofing, etc., for a total of $4.8 million. We issued 16 new residential permits for $2.2 million. That included 15 single-family residents and one two-family resident, for a total of 169. We had 169 commercial building permits at $7 million and 9 new commercial buildings for $5.2 million. A total of 920 building permits were issued for a value of $11 million. In the present, as of today, in our current building permits, we've issued a total of 206 residential permits. 4 have been new family residential houses, and we've issued 75 commercial building permits and 2 new commercial structures, for a total of 295 permits being issued for a valuation of $7,853,000. To look at some of the residential single-family dwellings that we issued last fiscal year, and if you just kind of look at the pictures, you can see that they're in all neighborhoods. They go from Calhoun Street to Mississippi. These are owner-occupied houses as well as rental houses. We actually issued 2 in Redwood, and it's one of those, the housing right now is just, it's every day is coming in, and we're issuing lots of single-family houses. We're doing lots of rental houses, some of our smaller houses, which are approximately 1,000 square feet. Then we have the owner-occupied houses that are being issued, which has been 2 recently. And some of these houses that we're using are actually lots that we have actually demolished houses on in this fiscal year and previous fiscal years.
That's good.
Now, these are the houses that we have issued since October 1 of in our current fiscal year up until today, and it has been 4 single-family houses and 1 two-family dwelling. And 2 of those houses were actually, the Rivers and the Quisenberry were demolition program houses. Our commercial projects As of last fiscal year, we're showing you some of the pictures. At the top, the one on Adams Street would be our swimming pool. The biodiesel facility, they upgraded their storage tanks. The Precision Eyewear, they actually started their construction in last fiscal year, but it was actually finished in this current year. It was a new storage, the City of Mexico, the 221 South Morris, they actually, it was a new storage facility that they put there, and the 731 East Liberty was that new strip mall. And we had an appraisal, real estate appraiser that was the 1716 East Liberty. And currently, as of today, we've actually issued two commercial building permits. The Kelly Parkway, that was a new storage facility for the Arthur Center. And now we'll talk a little bit about code enforcement. Code enforcement, basically, as you can see in the first picture, it covers our tall weeds and grass, junk, trash, and debris, unlicensed vehicles, parking in the front yard, leaving your trash cans out, and grass clippings into the street. Basically, what we try to do, we do door hangers. We like to try to, if it's a first offender, we like to try to knock on the door and make contact and leave messages with the individuals to try to get them to remove the violation before we would issue that 7-day notice. Once we issue that 7-day notice and we do not get a response, we send a certified letter gives them another 21 days to actually abate, and after that happens, a summons is issued. It doesn't always happen that way, but that's the policy that we have in place to try to use to clean up the abatement. Last fiscal year, we issued 604 tall weeds and grass violations, 731 junk, trash, and debris, 285 unlicensed vehicles, 21 parking in the front yard, and 10 for leaving their trash cans at the curb. You can actually put those out 24 hours before the pickup, and you need to actually remove them. And how we look at some of these violations and how we get them, city staff uses the refuse and sewer pickup route, and that's how they actually look at each neighborhood. They break it up as the trash pickup for that day. And we also, it's complaint-based also, so that's how we proceed, get our complaints, and to know how to actually see who's in violation of what.
Why is it so much more this year than last than the last?
Last fiscal year, our present time is only from October 2020 to current. So we are right now, grass really hasn't started popping up, but for this current fiscal year, we've issued 45 tall grass and weeds, and we already at 335 for junk, trash, and debris. In last fiscal year, which is also carried over to this fiscal year, we had 3 excessive junk, trash, and debris violations, 1 on Baker, 1 on Mansfield, and 1 on East Holmes, which we actually addressed today. We've had 146 unlicensed vehicles, 13 parking in the front yard, and 1 trash can violation, and 2, the weather got pretty good this year, and they were mowing in the grass, for a total, currently as of today, 542 violations have been issued. Last fiscal year, we issued 49 summons. Currently, as of today, we have 24 issued to get some of those violations abated. The Mexico Animal Shelter. Last fiscal year, we adopted out 282 dogs and 193 cats. Currently, this fiscal year, we have adopted out 145 dogs and 4 cats. Annually, the Audrain Humane Society, they donate $5,000 per year annually to the City of Mexico for stray animals coming into the animal shelters. City staff cannot go outside the city limits, but the animals can be brought to the shelter at no cost because of the $5,000 that we receive from the Audrain Humane Society. The Audrain Humane Society is also provides our spay-neuter program, which every animal that leaves is adopted from the animal shelter is spayed or neutered before it leaves the shelter. This takes us to our demolition program. Our demolition program, last fiscal year, we demolished 13 houses and 4 garages for a total of $94,554. Our demolition program is for single-family, dilapidated, or residential houses. The houses can actually be placards, or if you have a dilapidated house that is you would like to put on the demolition program, any house that we demolish, the person comes in and makes the application, and before we accept the application, building officials actually go out and inspect the exterior of the foundation to ensure that it is something that the city can actually demolish. Based on our equipment, it could be a 2-story or it could be too close to property lines, so we actually have to look at that house to see if it would be eligible for the program. Once we have received that, we will have the person to come in and sign a demolition agreement. And that demolition agreement, once it is signed, it must be signed by the actual property owner. We actually do a title search to ensure that they are actually the owners of that property. And once we receive that, it's our jobs to contact all the utility companies to ensure that all utilities are disconnected before we demolish the house. We also have to ensure that each house is an asbestos inspection done on each facility that we demolish. In your private demolitions, you can actually demolish your property, your own house yourself without the regulations, but because the City of Mexico, the magnitude of houses that we demolish each year, they become regulated by DNR. So we have to ensure that they inspected, and then once we get that inspection, we have to have the asbestos removed, and then we apply for a 10-day permit with DNR to actually have those houses demolished. And these are just some of the houses that we demolished in last fiscal year. We have 2 types of houses. We also have houses that once they have been placarded, we have sent notices to property owners. They have not responded, and then at that point, they're eligible for administrative hearings where we have a hearing and to determine if the house needs to be demolished. If we have to have that hearing and they do not sign a demolition agreement, the cost of that demolition is actually, it becomes a lien on that property. When it's a voluntary demolition, it is no cost to the property owners. And on that list that we did last year, the house at 602 Breckenridge was a forced demolition. These are some of the other houses that were demolished in last fiscal year. We also have, we use 918 South Union, not that one, I'm sorry. We will use the house on Monroe Street. When it's a fire damaged house, city code states that 25% of the proceeds will be submitted to the city to ensure that that house is actually demolished. That property owner has a right on a fire damaged house to demolish the property himself or herself, or the city can do the demolition. If the amount of the proceedings that come in, if they do not meet the cost of what it would take for us to demolish, we do not charge them additional fees. But if it actually, we receive more than it costs for the demolition, the remaining amount is returned back to the property owner. Those are some of the three of the garages that we also demolished in the last fiscal year. One of the things that we have to look at on garages, where they're located on the properties, to ensure that we have enough room to get in and out and clear the other property before we go in. Currently, our current fiscal year, we have demolished, these are the houses that we have demolished in this fiscal year. We have, our budget was $90,000 for this fiscal year. You can see we at $48,000 is where we have actually are today. So we just about halfway, or a little over, for this fiscal year as far as our demolition program is concerned. The one at 507 and 509 North Jefferson, that was our last demolition that we just recently done a couple of weeks ago. In that, and we have one fire damaged, the one at 503 Martin Luther King, that was a fire damaged house. Under our sidewalk replacement program, this is a volunteer program, and the city reimburses those that are approved at $11 per running foot to actually replace the public sidewalk to their property. The individual makes the application, city staff goes out and inspects and ensures that it is the public sidewalk and then it's not at a intersection or curb or something, to ensure that all codes are met. This work can actually be done by the property owner. If it's done by the property owner, we only pay a percentage of the materials. We do not pay a property owner to actually put in a sidewalk for himself. Last year, the program allowed for one at 200 Agriculture Street, which is the JAD properties at the intersection of Liberty and Green Boulevard, and 222 South Jefferson. Under our backflow valve program, this is a volunteer program, and it installs backflow valves into properties. It can be used for owner-occupied or rental properties. The work must be done by a licensed, insured plumber. The participation is actually between the owner and the city. That doesn't mean that the contractor, it's no participation between the contractor. And the maximum contribution is up to $500. Last fiscal year, we installed two, one on Randy and one on Lexington. And this current fiscal year, we've only received one application, and that was at 614 North Jefferson. Our household hazardous waste facility. Currently, that facility has been, this fiscal year, it has been closed our winter months. It will open back up the month of April on the second and fourth Wednesdays of each month. This program is eligible for the citizens of Mexico and the residents of Audrain County. One of the things that when we open back up this year, we will no longer be taking latex paint or oils or oil, but in our new program, we do provide places that the oil and the latex paint, how you can get rid of those on your own. Last fiscal year, we received HHW collection materials from 96 City of Mexico resident and 22 from the county, a total of 118. This current fiscal year, we had 26 applicants from the city and 9 from the county. We received, in the collection side of it, it was 12,926 pounds of collection. The collection company that the disposal contract that the City of Mexico uses, Tybee Environmental Services out of Indiana. And this year, with us being closed in the winter, the fall when we were open, starting in October, we had already received over 6,000 pounds of collection. So with this new fiscal year, you can see that the collections are picking up, and it will pretty much top what we had last year. And that was one of the things that we looked at when we decided to do away with the latex paint, because the majority of the things that we brought in last year was latex paint, and the collection of it is very expensive. This takes us to our 2 programs that we have. We have the Planning and Zoning Commission, which meets the first Tuesday of each month. It's only if we have an agenda item. Last fiscal year, we received 6 rezoning requests, 1 alley vacation, 1 utility vacation, and a preliminary and final approval for Oak Acres Plat 8. Last fiscal year, of the 5 rezoning, of the 6 rezoning, 5 were approved, 1 was denied. This current fiscal year, we received 1 request, and that's the rail spur and the utility easement, which is on the agenda for tonight. The Zoning Board of Adjustment, it's an as-called board. Last fiscal year, we received 1 sign variance. It was a request to replace the sign in a C2 zoning district at 1716 East Liberty. That was actually approved by the board. That was the appraisal company out at 1716 East Liberty. Under the Building and Grounds, this current fiscal year, one of our bigger projects, and the only one that we've had, we had our sanitary lines in the training and locker room at Public Safety needed a repair, and we're in the process of making the repairs there and replacing the sealants and different items there. That concludes my presentation. I'm open for any questions you might have.
I did have one, it doesn't have so much to do with exactly what was there, but we had some constituents contact me about some of the election signs and stuff. And one also wanted to know about if there's a code, and I said I would ask about it tonight for any of the election flags.
Yes, we do have a code for election signs. Basically, our code reads that 7 days after the election, they need to be removed. Today, we did issue 3 letters. We're in the process of issuing 3 letters for political signs that we had received complaints on late last week.
Sounds good. And what about is there anything, does that include flags as well? I didn't.
No.
I didn't think it did.
It does not include flags. It's just the actual signs.
That's what I was thinking, but I wanted to make sure before I responded to somebody.
If they move the signs right up next to the house, does that still count? I mean, I've seen some that are moved right almost up on the porch, and, they're sitting right next to the house. They're not out in the yard.
They would have to be removed. It's based on the zoning and the sign ordinance where they can actually be replaced. So in a residential area,
in the yard. I was just
right, the
curious.
flags are fine, but the signs would have to be removed.
Okay.
one last thing, with all this, you had what, you said 49 summons last year and like 24 this year?
Yes.
How are we doing as far as collecting on those or moving forward with?
I'm sorry, say the last part again.
How are we doing as far as collecting on those or litigating them or getting them resolved?
I understand right now our courts are still virtual. They are still meeting. Some we are getting abated, but we do have that repeated offender that keeps coming in each week, but they are moving.
Any other? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Slagle, is there any other business for future discussion?
Marcy, next month is the parks.
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, anyway, I think we have 2 more updates coming. So, I think we have parks yet to do, so. And that's all we have for tonight, then, on work session.
Okay, so we just move into call to order.
We can adjourn into regular session.
All right.
Make a motion to adjourn into regular session? Second.
Roll call.
I apologize.
We need the motion.
Who made the motion?
I made the motion.
Thank you. And who made the second? Thank you.
Kristen Chris.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay. I call to order the Mexico City Council meeting of 2022.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Haig, Miller.
Yes.
Okay, may I have a motion for the approval of minutes of the March 8th, 2020 regular session meeting?
I move we approve the minutes.
Second.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance, 2 readings by title only and passage. Bill number 2021-13, an ordinance to vacate a rail spur and utility easement located at 2201 Lakeview in the city of Mexico, Missouri. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. What we have here is a request from Abacus Logistics. And this is Abacus Logistics that's out in the business park out on Lakeview. This was the building the city owned that we sold to them. And they are wishing to do an addition. And to do that, there is an easement, utility and rail easement that needs to be removed in order for them to do that. So to cover the details of the easement and the request and planning and zoning recommendation, Rita Jackson.
This agenda item concerns a request from Abacus Logistics Solution LLC, Brenda K. Stanfield, President, to vacate a rail spur and a utility easement located on the property at 2201 Lakeview. This location is to the northeast of Lakeview and Bassford Drive intersection. Abacus submitted written correspondence authorizing Kevin Smith, Flowmaster Construction LLC, to act on behalf of the company for all matters related to the related rail spur and utility easement vacation. Abacus has plans for the construction of an addition to their existing building. City staff sent 15 notices to surrounding property owners within 300 feet of the requested rail spur and utility easement request. City staff received no verbal or written correspondence regarding the request. On February 12, 2021, engineering staff contacted all utilities, and no utilities have reported facilities within the area being proposed for vacation, nor do they take issue with the vacating of this portion of the easement. On March 9th, the Planning and Zoning Commission granted approval to vacate the rail spur and utility easement and make recommendation to City Council. A copy of the minutes is attached. If vacated, this section of the utility easement will no longer be available to be used by utilities, and no property will change in this easement vacation. We do have Kevin Smith in the audience, if you have any questions. And staff recommends that council proceed with 2 readings by title only and passage of the attached ordinance. This ordinance has been posted the required time.
The minutes were eliminated. The minutes of packets, so they do not have. They're not there.
The minutes were not in the packet,
No, they were not included.
but the Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, okay.
Mayor, I move for reading of bill number 2021-13.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Bill number 2021-13, an ordinance to vacate a rail spur and utility easement located at 2201 Lakeview in the city of Mexico, Missouri. I move for the second reading of bill 2021-13.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. Bill number 2021-13, an ordinance to vacate a rail spur and utility easement located at 2201 Lakeview in the city of Mexico, Missouri. I move for passage of bill number 2021-13.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay, resolutions reading by title only and passage, bill number 2021-14, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with In Situ Form Technologies USA LLC. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor, this is our annual repair project in the wastewater sewer lines. This is our cured-in-place pipe work, manhole rehabilitation work. We got bids. To cover the bids and the details and recommendation, Drew Williford, staff engineer.
Good evening, council. As Bruce mentioned, this is the cured-in-place pipe project. Starting to be that time of the year again when you're going to see several annual maintenance projects coming through the council's agenda. This is one of the first and deals with wastewater. Primarily, this project is used to line pipes and also manholes. So you've got 2 different activities going on in this particular project. We took bids, advertised for bids, and opened them on March 4th and had 2 companies submit bids to the city. In Situ Form was the low bid, coming in at $811.31, pardon me. And we have worked with them before. They were here in town last year. They've actually worked in the city of Mexico since 2017, and they have done excellent work for the city. So we would recommend council proceed with reading by title only and passage of the attached resolution. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I'm guessing on the map that the red dots are manholes and...
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's correct. What you see on the screen there, and I apologize for not mentioning that, is a quick map put together just to outline exactly what is part of this project.
Looks good. I move for a reading of bill number 2021-14.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Bill number 2021-14, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with In Situ Form Technologies USA LLC for the 2021 CIPP project. I move for passage of bill number 2021-14.
Second.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay, bill number 2021-15, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign contract documents with Super Sealing USA LLC for the 2021 crack and joint seal project. Mr. Slagle?
Yes, Your Honor, this is part of our annual street maintenance projects for the crack sealing, joint sealing project. And to cover the bids and the details, once again, Drew.
Council, we took bids for our 2021 crack and joint seal project, which essentially you have a team of people who go out and actually place joint sealer, crack sealer, and asphalt in concrete streets, helps keep water out of the street, going underneath the street pavement, and is actually the cheapest form of pavement management that we can do as a city. So we actually had 6 companies submit bids for this particular project, one of which we did not find a particular required document, with Super Sealing USA being the low bid. The engineer's estimate on this was $34,205.70. They came in at $24,951.32. They're out of San Antonio, Texas, and are actually doing work in the state of Missouri, I believe for St. Charles, from what I understand. This would be the first time that they have worked in the city of Mexico, and so as such, I've called several other companies and checked in, did some checking on this company. Everything has panned out, so staff would recommend proceeding with reading and title only of passed attached resolution.
I bet you're going to ask the same question. There's just a huge difference in what people have bid on this project, and I was just wondering if you would want to maybe explain that a little bit, or...
Absolutely. So that was when we had our bid opening. Of course, when you go from 24.9 to 135.5, there's a large concern that comes up. So we did our checking, called almost all the companies on this list, and what I believe this boils down to is method of crack and joint sealing. I can explain it from one of my conversations with Vance Brothers, actually. So if a contractor, Vance Brothers and parking lot maintenance, if a contractor comes into town and they've got a 100-gallon tank, for example, they might have to continually throw material into that tank, and it takes a while for it to melt to be applicable. A contractor who's set up just for crack and joint sealing comes to town and they've got a 1,000-gallon tank, like in the case of PLM, who did our work last year. You'll notice that their bid was actually closer to the 30,000 mark and closer to the engineer's estimate. They told me on the phone they had enough material in their setup, they would not even have to refill. So they go through the whole town based on the quantities we had, do it all without a refill. And their thought was, most likely, contractors weren't set up specialized for this work as they were. And Super Sealing USA certainly is specialized for this particular work. Another item that does factor into it, there's a little bit of a difference in methodology. Some contractors have a follow-up truck that sprays down a surfactant or like a dishwashing detergent to keep the rubber from catching on car tires. Some don't. PLM did not last year when they were in town. Some contractors told me they did. So there's a variety of reasons that do come into play.
Interesting.
Yes, it was.
That's my question.
I knew that was a good question. Did good. That's a pretty obvious question. I move for a first reading of bill number 2021-15.
Second.
Bill number 2021. Sorry.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Bill number 2021-15, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign contract documents with Super Sealing USA LLC for the 2021 crack and joint seal project. I move for passage.
Second.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Other business, is staff report about the independent audit services. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor, this was the year to reconsider requests for services and for audit services, and to cover the information received and the recommendation. Roger Haynes.
Good evening, Council. On January 30th of this year, a request for proposals was advertised in the Ledger and forwarded to several accounting firms that are known to provide governmental accounting services. The request for proposal outlined the city's intent to secure an auditing firm for the purpose of performing the city's annual audit, major programs audit under the Federal Single Audit Act, and assistance in preparation of the comprehensive annual financial report for a four-year period beginning with this fiscal year in September 30th, 2021. RFP responses were received and due by the due date of March 3rd, 2021. We did receive 2 responses, one from our past auditor, Williams Keepers LLC out of Columbia, Missouri, and then Cochran Head and Vick and Company, PC, out of Mexico, Missouri, with their parent location and audit management team out of the Kansas City, Missouri office. The RFP responses received were reviewed for several factors, included and not limited to governmental auditing experience, including a comprehensive annual financial report, audit approach, staffing, relevant references, training, structural and visual appeal of their final CAFR product, and of course proposed fees. Both accounting firms are well qualified for governmental audits and comparable and overall pricing for the 4-year engagement. Actually, for the 4 years, based on what we anticipated in audit services, they were within $895. A summary of factors considered has been prepared and attached for the staff, so council and the public can see the approach taken to select an auditing firm which best meets the city's requirements for an annual audit, which would be independent, and of course a CAFR and a single audit if necessary. It is of the opinion of the city staff an edge to selection goes to Williams Keepers LLC when comparing the 2 firms in respect to overall audit approach, review of sample comprehensive annual financial reports, which we looked at other cities that both firms completed along with ours, training and networking opportunities, and considerable staff time savings inherent with continuing work with the same firm. A couple of other comments is we are recommending that we continue to work with Williams Keepers LLC under their proposal. A couple other comments on that area is the fact that they do other cities that are close to us, Osage Beach and City of Fulton, which we network with annual GASB trainings that Williams Keepers host. And again, the fact that the training that they provide is so valuable to myself and Vicki Dinky in preparing the annual audits. I'd be glad to answer any questions that council may have.
I make a motion we accept the recommendation to employ Williams Keeper for the audit.
Briggs?
Yes.
Shivers?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Okay, now for the claims.
Move we pay the claims.
Second.
Briggs?
Yes.
Shivers?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
All right, now it's time for council comments. Mr.
Get to go
Williams.
first today? All
You
right.
go first.
All right. I have two questions. One is a pool update. What are we looking at there?
Right now, everything is going on schedule. And surprisingly, with the couple of cold weeks we had, they were really kind of ahead, and they've come back on schedule. And so we're still anticipating our Memorial Day weekend opening. So obviously, weather between now and then is still subject to change, but overall, it's going along very well. So, yeah.
Excellent. And then I have a street question because I had some Facebook drama or whatever. Can you explain why we don't put lines on the roads, on certain roads like Boulevard and such? There's no, you know what I'm talking about, there's no middle line, there's no lane lines.
Drew, you can certainly chime in as well with this. Understandable that when you look at Boulevard, depending on where it's at, that'd be a state issue, not so much a city issue, okay? So some more of the main roads that go in and out are state controlled, and so that'd be them. When you generally look at a lot of city streets, especially residential and so on, it's just not a standard practice to do. And namely, it can be cost. Do you want to put your money there versus crack sealing or condition? And so that's kind of where it comes down to. Part of it is that we also try to follow, the Uniform Traffic Control Manual and those kinds of things to say which one should be and which ones makes the most sense. And so we try to follow that as well. Drew, you want to add anything to that?
Sure, and we do follow crash data from MoDOT, so if we start seeing issues develop, we will certainly look at that. Striping is one countermeasure for addressing some crash types. So if we do see something develop, it's not we're opposed to it or anything, but we look at it from a data standpoint. Is it needed? Is it required in some cases? And that's how we make a decision.
I said, well, most of our main roads are state roads and not us, but I wasn't sure. I said I'd ask, and I didn't know if I had to do with speed limits or, what was going on. Like, I understand, like, side streets and all, I just didn't know, like boulevards, the main roads, what that was. But it makes perfect sense. Thank you much. I appreciate it.
I don't really have anything other than I was going to comment on the pool too, because it's getting kind of exciting, and I know a friend of mine took their little girl out there, and she saw that bucket, that bucket up there, and she was so excited, and I'm not sure how the bucket works, but anyway, it fills up and dumps out, right? Yes. So anyway, it's getting to be exciting. Get close to that.
As much rain as we have, how do we drain the pool? Is it low enough to drain to the sewer, or does it have to be pumped out?
As the system drains into basically a lift station.
Okay.
So it can pump it out.
All right, yeah, okay, that makes more sense. The only thing I had to say was, Presser has a performance coming up. I believe we'll call it a musical. It has to do with Hank Williams.
Yes.
And tickets are on sale right now, so it's been a while since there's been anything at Presser, and I know they need the funds, whether you go or not, buy a ticket.
There you go. I concur. Mr. Slavin.
The thing I would mention again is that, the hospital did change hands, and so there is a new owner of the hospital, and Noble Health. And so they are having a town hall meeting tomorrow night at the Elks Lodge. Public is welcome. It starts at 5:30. So anybody that has any questions or issues or ideas or suggestions for them, there will be there to try to answer those. So you're welcome to attend that. Again, that's at 5:30 tomorrow night at the Elks Lodge.
Well, I think everybody's pretty much mentioned everything I was going to say, because I was going to just encourage people to go out and support our local hospital, and, can't afford to lose it. And so they've done what they said they would do. Now it's time for us to do what we said we would do and find a way and help them be successful. At this time, we'll see if there are any comments from the public. If so, please state your name and address for the record and keep comments to a maximum of 3 minutes.
My name's William Johnson. I'm the CEO for Anatolian Arms here in town. Earlier today, we received notice that the City of Mexico was not renewing our business license. Well, that's any city's prerogative. We asked why. And we came back to City of Code that the City of Mexico was saying that we were outside of city zoning ordinance. But we asked what section of the city zoning ordinance. And the city zoning officers was kindly enough to point us to saying that we shouldn't be doing some of our manufacturing things inside of Zone 2, C2 specifically. Well, we asked them to be more in depth with that, and they went ahead and gave us a copy of it. I'm going to make it pretty brief since I'm reading from City Code, so bear with me for just a moment. Okay, the regulations set forth in this division and set forth elsewhere in the division when referred to in this division are the regulation of the C2 General Commercial District. A building or premise shall be used only for the following purposes. Any use permitted in C1 local commercial districts, automobile, trailer, display, sales room, business, or commercial school when located not within 50 feet of any R district billiard parlor, bowling alley, drive-in restaurant, drive-in theater, establishment for the sale of beer, alcohol beverages, frozen food locker, farm implement display, sales room, hotel, motel, milk distribution, state public garage, radio, television, broadcast station, studio, veterinarian, animal hospital, used car salesman, or storage lot, dyeing and cleaning establishment or laundry, painting, plumbing, transmitting, tinsmithing shop, tire sales and service, including vulcanizing, upholstery shop, not involving furniture manufacturing, any other general service or repair establishments, or similar character, printing, publishing, engraving, laboratory experiments, film testing, carting, expressing, hauling, or storage, or accessory building, or use customer incidental to any of the above uses, contractor storage yard, or in commercial. And the number 20 specifically, any other use of similar character which is not objectionable by reason of the emission of odor, dust, smoke, gas, fumes, noise, or vibration, or which is not specifically prohibited or regulated in Article 7 of this chapter. That was the one that our business license is not being renewed on, specifically. Well, I find that very interesting. Part of our job is to manufacture ammunition. It's one small aspect of our jobs. And part of us, we manufacture firearms, we repair them. Many for the sporting industry, some for government agencies, some for law enforcement agencies. But the City of Mexico has decided not to renew our business license all of a sudden. And nowhere in there does it say that we cannot manufacture ammunition, but none of those, of that Section 20, which was specifically sold to us what we were falling under, applies to us because we do not produce an odor, dust, smoke, gas, fumes, noise, or vibration, or which is not specifically prohibited or regulated by Article 7. So we were just kind of curious if that was the general standpoint of the entire City of Mexico, or if that was just the zoning commission, which we plan on appealing. And but our attorneys seem to be confused as well, exactly what was going on here.
Council, I'll make just a brief comment. The zoning code is written in that it is what is permitted in certain zoning districts, not what is not permitted. And what is permitted in a C2 is listed, and what is permitted in an industrial zone. And manufacturing of ammunition would be listed in an industrial zone, and that is the reason. Now, as I explained earlier today to Mr. Johnson, that this is an appeal process to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. For them to hear regarding any questions or concerns that they have. That is the appeal process of you that don't like a zoning officer's opinion. And notice was given, and their permit does run through the end of June, and that's why notice was given as early as possible, that it wouldn't be renewed for those reasons. And so at this time, I mean, that's what we've said, that's what we've given them. They have the right to that appeal, and I'd recommend again that they go to that appeal process to be heard, because that's the proper channel.
I'd like one more opportunity to speak. So I followed up on that for you, Mr. Slagle. Division 3, Heavy Industrial District Regulations. Use regulations. Any building or premise may be used for any purpose not in conflict with any provision of this code or in ordinance of the city, provided that no building shall be erected, reconstructed, or structurally altered for residential purposes except for resident watchmen and caretakers employed on the premise, and provide further that no building permit shall be issued for any of the following uses until and unless location location of such use shall have been approved by the City Council after report by the Planning and Zoning Commission. 1. Acid manufacturing. 2. Ammonia manufacturing, refining, wholesale storage. 3. Cement, lime, gypsum, plaster of Paris, or clay product manufacturing. 4. Distillation of bone and glue manufacturing. 5. Explosives manufacturing or storage. Specifically, which one you're referring to would be number 5, I would assume?
I'm not going to refer to the exact sections. That's the zoning administrator's position to do, and they've made that determination.
You know, there is an appeal process that's before the Board of Zoning Appeals. You're welcome to make those comments to them. If you have an attorney, which you said you do, have them contact me. I'll be glad to talk to them.
Well, we're just slightly concerned because we didn't, and this isn't so much what your guys' code says, but before you guys made this determination, nobody from the city approached us. It's about the process that you guys applied. You guys didn't ask for an industry specialist. You asked for no input. You asked for nobody to even walk through the facility. to even come in and see what was going on, or even ask what chemicals or compounds we used. Nothing from us was asked. It's the process that was applied to it was biased and unfair. And that's where my concern comes in.
Mr. Schlegel, since he's already mentioned the word attorneys in this process, it's probably we just need to.
May I ask where you're located?
415 East Liberty.
415 East Liberty. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Briggs?
Yes.
Shivers?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes. See y'all later.
Have a good trip. Be careful.
Have a safe trip,
Drive
buddy.
safe.